Hey, how's everyone doing this evening? All right, so Grant Delpit, excited to add him to the team. Grant, we really viewed him as a big, versatile playmaker. He's been a really kind of an impact player for LSU over the past two seasons. Our appeal to Grant is the fact that you're really just his coverage ability. He's a guy who can play the post, he can play near the line of scrimmage, he can cover tight ends, uh, walk over a slot and hold his own against receivers. And he's been a consistent ball producer throughout his career at LSU. The other thing that out to us about Grant is just his toughness. He played through this season, really a lot of the year with a high ankle sprain that would have put a lot of players out of commission for a longer period of time. And then the other thing, everyone we talked to at the LSU talked about how bright Grant is and how quickly he can process and understand anything football related. And we found that to be the case when we met with him. He was certainly one of the more impressive interviews that we had at the combine from a football intelligence standpoint. So we're excited to add him to the roster. We think he's a talented young safety that can be a productive member of our team. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Great. Thanks, AB. Tom Withers, you can lead us off.
Andrew, thanks. I'm guessing that Greedy probably called him a baller.
we got a lot of positive feedback on Grant with everyone we spoke to.
Yeah. What does it mean then to reunite kind of, two teammates together? Obviously there's some familiarity and, how much does that help things?
I would say honestly, Tom, we didn't necessarily go into it with that in mind. We really evaluated independently. Certainly hoping some of that familiarity could lead to potential synergy this fall. But at the end of the day, everybody's got to earn their playing time and earn their jobs. And we think that Grant's a very talented player.
And obviously, you felt like he was still going to be there, which is why you made the move with the Colts.
We did.
Thanks, Tom. We'll take it to you, Tony Grossi.
Hey, Andrew. Andrew, hi. Can you did the high ankle sprain last year affect his tackling? There seems to be a number of missed tackles on his record. Is it a concern to you? Just comment on those things.
Yeah. So every player, every young player is going to have things that they're going to have to work on coming in. No player is going to be perfect. It's actually something that we talked about really in February at the combine. And the one thing that Grant he was accountable, never made an excuse for it or anything along those lines.
Okay, had a little bit of feedback from your mic there, Andrew, so we'll see if we can work that out. Thanks for the question, Tony. We'll go next to Nate Ulrich.
Hey, Andrew. Could you tell us, do you view him first as a free safety, and how do you think he fits with the two veterans you added in free agency?
I'll answer your first question, or your last question first, Nate. We think he fits well within that room. Look, no jobs are given. Everybody's going to have to compete for their playing time in the fall. In terms of Grant's skill set, one of the things that we liked is we really feel like he can fit in any safety room because of his versatility. I think it would be
unfair to cast him as just a free or just a strong or just what we would call a big nickel. The appeal is that he really does have the modern day safety skill set from a coverage standpoint because of that versatility. So that's something that we're really excited to add.
Sorry, Mary Kay, you're up.
There were still a number of really good safeties left on the board when you guys took Grant. Sort of, what set him apart and how excited were you to be able to get him there at 44?
Yeah, Mary Kay, what set Grant apart is just one, his track record, very accomplished college football player. And then the fact that, and I know I mentioned it a couple of times, it really is the versatility, because he can wear a variety of hats and perform them all at a very high level. And that's just a skill set that's very difficult to find. And it just allows you a lot more flexibility as a defensive coordinator when you have a guy who can play the post proficiently, who can play near the line of scrimmage, cover tight ends, play big nickel. And we think that that's something that Grant will be able to do at the NFL level.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Scott Petrick, you're up.
Andrew, I had two things. One, you kind of broke up when you were finishing Tony's question.
Okay.
Was there a reason you think Grant missed the tackles he missed this year?
Yeah, I think he'd be the first to admit it's something that has to be is going to be a focus of his as an area of improvement coming into the NFL. I wouldn't make any excuses for him. He hasn't made any excuses for it. He did deal with the high ankle sprain, but I wouldn't. He wouldn't even give that as a reason for the primary issue. But we think that we think the total package and what he does well is going to play really well in our defensive system. So,
and because of the high ankle this year, how much time did you spend looking at the 2018 film where he was a unanimous All-American?
Yeah, a lot. And really for all these guys that we scout, we really do put weight on the final 2 college years. It's not just the most recent season. And in Grant's case, definitely a stronger focus on both last year and before he did have the high ankle sprain in late October, because you could see it affected his movement later in the year.
Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Jeff Shadell, you're up. So Jeff cannot hear you at the moment. We'll go to Marla.
Andrew, was there a sense among you guys that, a year ago, it sounds like he would have been a first-round pick. Do you feel like you're getting a first-round talent with the 44th pick?
I don't know. I don't know that we think of it in terms of whether we're getting a first-round talent, because of just because of the public prognostications over the past year. But we do think that we're getting a young, talented football player. I'll leave it for others to comment on that piece of it. But we do know that we're getting a smart, tough, accountable, versatile, really, ball hawk and ball producer who can wear a variety of hats in the defense, and we think can be a good contributor for us both in the short term and in the long term.
Did you talk to him about his family moving after Hurricane Katrina? I'm just curious if he had much of a story.
Yeah, we spent a good amount of time.
All right, Jeff, if you're ready, we'll try you one more time. If not, we'll close out.
I'm not trying to find out whether you believe in big school football guys getting someone from LSU and someone from Alabama.
Yeah, Jeff, I actually think talent comes from everywhere. And just because our first 2 picks this year came from the SEC and 2 of the more established college football programs in the country, doesn't mean that that's the only area that we're going to bring in players for the roster. It just happened to work out this way, but there are good football players across all college football conferences and across all college football levels. So we won't be bound to just Power 5 conferences or the SEC.
Great. This will be our last one. Tony Grossi, take it away.
Just wanted to add a follow on your statement that he was one of the best interviews you had at the combine. I don't know if you expounded on that, and we couldn't hear because there was some interference. But why was that?
No, and so what I was saying is, when we went into the school, a lot of the feedback was just how smart Grant was and how quickly he could pick things up. And in his particular interview session, our focus really was on really football context, checks, adjustments, a mini install with our system, a review of some of the things that he did at LSU, and he really excelled in that setting. Just really bright, really sharp, can process very quickly. So that was one of the more impressive things about him for us.